at that age, with no support, anywhere. And, too many of these folks end up in those positions.
Philip Bailey, the soaring falsetto behind Earth, Wind and Fire's timeless hits, helped shape the soundtrack of a generation. But while his music uplifted millions, few knew the weight he carried behind the scenes. Beneath the spotlight and gold records lies a story of heartbreak, spiritual searching, and quiet battles that rarely made headlines. In this video, we uncover the tragedy behind the legend, the untold story of Philip Bailey's personal struggles, and how he found the strength to keep singing through the pain. Humble beginning. Philip Bailey was born on May 8, 1951, in Denver, Colorado. Raised in a city known for its rich cultural scene, he was surrounded by music early on. At East High School, Bailey's love for music began to take root in an environment that encouraged creativity and self-expression. After graduating, he went on to study at Metropolitan State University of Denver and later the University of Colorado. These years not only gave him a solid academic foundation, but also deepened his involvement in the local music scene, helping him shape the path toward a professional career. Before joining Earth, Wind and Fire, Bailey was part of an R&B band called Friends in Love, where he gained valuable experience performing and developing his stage presence. The group's soulful sound helped refine his vocal style and gave him his first real taste of the industry. Bailey's musical influences were as wide-ranging as they were impactful. Jazz legends like Miles Davis, John Coltrane, and Max Roach left a lasting impression on him, especially in terms of musical experimentation and complexity. He was also heavily inspired by the Motown sound, particularly Stevie Wonder, whose blend of soul, funk, and emotional depth would echo throughout Bailey's own work. Female vocalists like Sarah Vaughan and Dionne Warwick also played a key role in shaping his voice. From Vaughan, he drew vocal richness and control. From Warwick, the ability to convey emotion with elegance and clarity. Together, these influences helped mold Bailey into one of the most distinctive and versatile voices in music, joining Earth, Wind, and Fire. In 1972, while studying at the University of Colorado, Philip Bailey's life changed dramatically when he was invited to join Earth, Wind, and Fire by the band's founder, Maurice White. At the time, Bailey was already a gifted vocalist with a passion for blending genres, but this opportunity launched him into the mainstream and secured his place in music history. Maurice White had started Earth, Wind, and Fire in 1969 with a vision to merge jazz, soul, funk, R&B, and rock into something spiritually uplifting and musically rich. By the early 70s, the band was evolving, and White saw in Bailey the perfect voice to take their sound to the next level. With his powerful falsetto and wide vocal range, Bailey was a natural fit. He quickly became an essential part of the group, bringing a new dimension to their sound. His signature falsetto helped define some of their most iconic tracks, including Devotion, Keep Your Head to the Sky, and Reasons. Each song showcased his vocal control and emotional depth, transforming them into timeless anthem. Philip Bailey's voice remained a standout feature of Earth, Wind, and Fire's music well beyond their early hits. On tracks like Fantasy from the All in All album, his ethereal falsetto soared over lush orchestral arrangements, turning the song into a fan favorite. He continued to adapt his voice across styles on songs like Star, Turn on the Beatbox, Guiding Lights, and My Promise, always bringing a distinct emotional depth and tone that made each performance unmistakably his. A major part of what made Earth, Wind, and Fire's sound so unforgettable was the vocal chemistry between Bailey and Maurice White. White's rich, grounded baritone provided the perfect contrast to Bailey's high, airy falsetto. Together, they created a dynamic interplay that drove many of the band's biggest hits. Songs like Shining Star captured that energy, while tracks like Getaway and the timeless September showed how seamlessly their voices could weave together into something joyful and electrifying. Their vocal partnership powered a string of classics: Sing a Song, Serpentine Fire, Saturday Night, and Can't Hide Love, each one highlighting the balance between White's soulful depth and Bailey's soaring range. Whether it was the uplifting message of "That's the Way of the World" or the dance floor magic of Boogie Wonderland alongside the emotions, their voices helped shape the band's signature sound. But Bailey was more than just a vocalist. He embodied Earth, Wind and Fire's spirit of innovation. His range, versatility, and unmistakable falsetto played a huge role in crafting the group's identity, leaving a lasting influence on soul, funk, and pop music for decades to come. Philip Bailey's creative partnership with Maurice White was a perfect example of how powerful collaboration can be in music. Their vocal chemistry wasn't just impressive, it was essential to Earth, Wind and Fire's biggest hits. The way their voices played off each other helped define the band's legendary sound. In the mid-1990s, Maurice White began to step back from touring as he faced the challenges of Parkinson's disease. When White retired from performing live, Bailey naturally stepped into the role of on-stage leader, a responsibility he continues to carry with pride. His leadership became central to preserving the band's identity during a pivotal time of change. Today, Bailey performs alongside longtime bandmates Verdine White, whose bass lines and energy remain electric, and Ralph Johnson, who adds his own vocal and rhythmic touch. Bailey's voice, spanning an impressive 4 octaves, still anchors the group. While he's best known for his soaring falsetto, Bailey also brings in tones reminiscent of White's tenor, giving the music both continuity and emotional depth. His ability to shift between those styles keeps the performances fresh, while staying true to the band's roots. Thanks to Bailey's steady guidance and unmistakable voice, Earth, Wind and Fire has remained a force in music, continuing to enchant audiences across generations. His enduring presence has helped the band evolve without losing the essence that made them iconic, and it's clear that Philip Bailey's contributions have played a major role in keeping their legacy alive. Solo career. Outside of his legendary role in Earth, Wind and Fire, Philip Bailey carved out an impressive solo career that highlighted his versatility and artistic range. His solo debut, Continuation, was released in 1983 under Columbia Records and marked a strong start to this new chapter. The album performed well, landing at number 1, 19 on the U.S. Billboard Top R&B Albums chart, and also charted internationally in the Netherlands and Sweden. Continuation showed that Bailey could shine outside of the group while still staying true to his signature sound. Critics embraced the album. Martin Bash of the Boston Globe called it a rare standout among R&B dance records, noting that each track had something unique to offer. Hugh Wyatt of the New York Daily News praised it as a top-tier project, reinforcing Bailey's smooth transition into solo stardom. The lead single, I Know, became a hit in its own right, reaching number 1, 10 on the Billboard Hot R&B Songs chart. The track showcased Bailey's soaring falsetto and his gift for delivering heartfelt, soulful performances, proof that he could captivate listeners even without the backing of a band. With Continuation, Bailey blended the spiritual and uplifting energy that defined his work with Earth, Wind, and Fire with more personal and reflective themes. The album mixed up-tempo grooves and tender ballads, all polished with the same high-level musicianship that had always defined his sound. It was a clear statement. Bailey wasn't just a standout in a legendary group. He was a powerhouse in his own right. Philip Bailey's debut solo album laid the groundwork for a series of projects that would not only broaden his creative range, but also deepen his impact across R&B, soul, and gospel. What made Bailey stand out was his ability to explore new musical territory while staying rooted in the sound that made him a household name. In an industry where careers can fade fast, Bailey's staying power was a reflection of both his talent and adaptability. In 1984, he released Chinese Wall, his third solo album and second secular effort through Columbia Records. The album marked a turning point in his solo career, successfully blending pop, rock, and R&B in a way that connected with a wide audience. Chinese Wall climbed to number 22 on the Billboard 200 and number 10 on the top R&B hip-hop albums chart. It eventually earned gold certification from the RIAA, confirming its commercial success. The standout track was the high-energy duet Easy Lover, featuring British superstar Phil Collins. The collaboration was a perfect match. Bailey's soaring falsetto paired effortlessly with Collins's bold tenor, creating a pop anthem that dominated the charts. Easy Lover hit number 1. Won in the UK and reached number 2 on the Billboard Hot 100 in the US. Its fun, behind-the-scenes music video became a staple on MTV and helped the song become one of the decade's defining hits. Easy Lover didn't just become Philip Bailey's biggest solo hit, it marked a major moment in his career, firmly placing him in the pop spotlight. The track's infectious energy, fueled by its punchy blend of rock and pop, made it a global phenomenon. With its driving rhythm and instantly recognizable chorus, the song struck a chord far beyond Bailey's core, R&B and soul audience. It introduced him to a broader, international fan base and highlighted the magic that can happen when two artists from different worlds, Bailey from the soul tradition and Phil Collins from the world of rock, come together. Their chemistry was undeniable, and the success of the track reflected that synergy. But Easy Lover was just one part of the story. The Chinese Wall album as a whole served as a bold statement of Bailey's range and ambition as a solo artist. Produced entirely by Phil Collins, the album offered a polished, dynamic sound that complemented Bailey's vocals perfectly. It moved fluidly between danceable up-tempo tracks and introspective ballads, all while weaving in elements of pop, soul, and rock. Songs like Photogenic Memory and the hauntingly beautiful Walking on the Chinese Wall gave Bailey room to show off his emotional depth and melodic sensibility. Collins's clean, powerful production style elevated every track, giving the album a sleek but soulful feel. Chinese Wall was more than a commercial success. It was an artistic breakthrough. It allowed Bailey to step out of the shadow of expectations often placed on R&B artists, proving that he could thrive in pop and rock circles just as effortlessly. The success of both the album and its chart-topping single confirmed what fans already knew. Philip Bailey wasn't just the falsetto behind Earth, Wind and Fire's greatest hits. He was a solo star in his own right, capable of delivering music that crossed genres and touched listeners around the world. In 1986, Bailey kept the momentum going with Inside Out, his fourth studio album with Columbia Records. While it didn't match the blockbuster success of Chinese Wall, it was another step in his evolution as a solo artist. Inside Out found modest success, reaching number 1, 30 on the Billboard Top R&B Albums chart and charting internationally in Switzerland and Sweden. Inside Out offered listeners a fresh perspective on Philip Bailey's artistry, one that leaned into introspection without losing the groove. Critics were quick to notice the shift. Carlo Wolf of the Boston Globe called it Bailey's most cohesive and relaxed album yet. He described it as the sonic equivalent of walking through city streets with a spiritual lens, music that moved between the earthly and the divine. That balance between the physical and the spiritual had always been part of Bailey's signature, but Inside Out gave it a more grounded, soulful expression. Tom Duffy of the Orlando Sentinel echoed that sentiment, praising the album's blend of fun, edge, and emotional depth. He noted its polished production, but also pointed out the undercurrent of sincerity that gave the music its staying power. It wasn't just another slick mid-80s R&B release, it had substance beneath the surface. The album's standout track, State of the Heart, exemplified this approach. A smooth, mid-tempo ballad, it showcased Bailey's unmistakable falsetto while offering a melody that was both heartfelt and radio-friendly. The song climbed to number 20 on the Billboard Hot R&B Songs chart, proving that Bailey could still craft hits that resonated with both loyal fans and new listeners. It was emotionally rich but accessible, walking that tightrope between commercial appeal and artistic depth. Musically, Inside Out embraced the polished R&B sound of the era, complete with synthesized textures, funk-infused rhythms, and soulful ballads. But beneath the gloss, Bailey infused the project with his trademark introspective themes. His lyrics often wrestled with personal growth, love, and deeper existential questions, adding layers to an album that might otherwise have been overlooked as just another pop-soul record. What set Inside Out apart was Bailey's refusal to settle into a predictable formula. Even as the industry pushed for hits, he remained true to the spiritual and artistic instincts that had shaped his career. The album stood as a thoughtful continuation of his journey, reflecting his ability to blend the sacred and the secular, the urban and the ethereal. By this point, Bailey had long proven his versatility, whether as the high-flying falsetto in Earth, Wind and Fire, or as a solo artist exploring his own path. Inside Out may have offered a different sound than the crossover success of Chinese Wall, but it carried the same creative integrity. Inside Out marked an important chapter in Philip Bailey's solo journey, a moment where he continued to push his creative boundaries while staying rooted in the soulful, introspective sound that had always defined him. While it didn't match the commercial heights of Chinese Wall, the album still played a significant role in shaping Bailey's identity as a multi-layered artist. It was proof of his commitment to making music that moved people, not just on the surface, but emotionally and spiritually. As musical trends evolved through the 80s, Bailey remained relevant by staying authentic and always evolving. His solo career wasn't just about albums and chart-topping singles. It was also about collaboration. Bailey's voice, with its unmistakable falsetto and emotional clarity, became a sought-after element in projects spanning genres and styles. In 1985, he appeared on In Square Circle, a pivotal Stevie Wonder album from that era. That same year, he joined forces with Kenny Loggins on Vox Humana, adding a smooth soulfulness to Loggins' polished pop-rock sound. These pairings showed just how adaptable Bailey could be, bringing his R&B roots into entirely new musical environments without ever losing his essence. He continued to show that versatility in 1987, contributing vocals to Ray Parker Jr.'s After Dark and Anita Pointer's Love for What It Is. Both albums tapped into different shades of pop and R&B, and Bailey's presence added richness and vocal texture to the mix. Whether blending seamlessly into a track or soaring above it with his signature tone, he consistently brought something special. In 1988, Bailey took things a step further by reaching into the international music scene. He collaborated with Spanish superstar Julio Iglesias on the album Non-Stop, showing that music truly knows no borders. That same year, he also recorded with Denny S. Williams on As Good As It Gets. Their shared background in gospel and soul gave the collaboration a natural chemistry, resulting in songs that felt both heartfelt and effortlessly smooth. One of Bailey's most unexpected but memorable partnerships came when he teamed up with the legendary Little Richard for the title song of the 1988 film Twins. The track fused Bailey's silky vocals with Little Richard's electrifying rock and roll energy. It became a hit overseas, charting in the Netherlands and Belgium, and even earned a Golden Globe nomination for Best Original Song, proof that Bailey could cross genres and still connect with audiences worldwide. As the 80s turned into the 90s, Bailey continued to embrace new musical opportunities. He worked with jazz great Nancy Wilson on her 1989 album A Lady with a Song and joined forces with Diane Reeves in 1990 for her album Never Too Far. These projects allowed Bailey to lean into his jazz and adult contemporary sensibilities, emphasizing his love for melody and sophistication. That same year, he reunited with George Duke and Stanley Clarke for their album 3, reaffirming his deep roots in the jazz fusion world. In 1991, Bailey lent his voice to Fourplay's debut album, a project that featured some of the biggest names in smooth jazz. His vocals brought warmth and soul to the group's refined sound, once again showing his ability to adapt, elevate, and leave a mark, no matter the setting. In 1992, Philip Bailey reunited with longtime collaborator George Duke for Snapshot, an album that blended jazz, funk, and R&B into a smooth, groove-driven soundscape. That same year, Bailey lent his voice to saxophonist Ronnie Law's album Deep Soul, continuing his exploration of the smooth jazz genre with a natural ease. His connection to Fourplay remained strong as well. He returned in 1993 to contribute vocals to their second album, Between the Sheets, once again adding his signature warmth and elegance to the group's already polished sound. By 1994, Bailey was still expanding his collaborative palette. He teamed up with R&B songstress Shantae Moore on her album A Love Supreme. Known for her sensual tone and emotional delivery, Moore found an ideal partner in Bailey. Their collaboration struck a deep chord with listeners, showcasing a soulful chemistry that elevated the music beyond a typical duet. That same year, Bailey stepped out with his fifth solo studio album, Philip Bailey, released through Zoo Entertainment. The project marked another evolution in his career, one that embraced contemporary styles while honoring the soul and R&B foundation that had always been central to his artistry. The album featured a diverse mix of collaborators, including Brian McKnight, Chucky Booker, and the genre-blending collective PM Dawn. Each artist brought a unique perspective to the table, helping Bailey craft a sound that was both modern and deeply rooted in tradition. Critics took notice. Carol Cooper of Newsday praised Bailey for helping to shape the direction of black music through a lens of what she called neo-traditionalism. She described him as a sensitive gentleman, someone whose vocal style, refined, graceful, and emotionally resonant, stood in contrast to the more aggressive production and vocal trends of the time. Her review highlighted Bailey's strength, his ability to stay true to himself even while exploring new sonic territory. Michael Eric Dyson, writing for Rolling Stone, also praised the album, noting that Bailey's artistry had a way of lifting even the simplest material. He pointed out that in the hands of another singer, some of the songs might have felt forgettable, but Bailey brought magic to them, turning standard tracks into meaningful listening experiences. Michael Eric Dyson's review of Philip Bailey offered a nuanced take on the singer's evolving artistry. He noted that Bailey's iconic falsetto, long a defining feature of his sound, remained as pure and compelling as ever. But what stood out was Bailey's deeper dive into his baritone range, which added a newfound richness and emotional weight to his performances. The interplay between the ethereal falsetto and the grounded baritone created a dynamic texture throughout the album, underscoring Bailey's vocal versatility and growth. Dyson didn't shy away from pointing out that not every track hit the mark. Some of the songwriting and production choices were more middling than memorable. But even when the material didn't soar, Bailey's vocal delivery never wavered. His performances brought depth and sincerity that elevated even the less impactful songs. Dyson's take echoed a broader critical consensus. The album might not have broken new ground at every turn, but it stood strong because of Bailey himself. His years of experience, artistic sensitivity, and willingness to evolve helped Philip Bailey become more than just a collection of songs. It was a statement of resilience and relevance. By teaming up with both legendary and up-and-coming collaborators, Bailey embraced the shifting musical tides without losing the soulful core that had always set him apart. The album marked a meaningful chapter in his journey, a reminder of his staying power in an ever-changing industry. That spirit of growth and exploration carried over into the next phase of Bailey's career as he ventured into the world of jazz. In 1999, he released his first full jazz album, Dreams, on Heads Up International Records. The project featured a lineup of jazz greats, including Gerald Albright, Grover Washington Jr., and Pat Metheny. The album found modest commercial success, reaching number 43 on the Billboard Jazz Albums chart, but more importantly, it earned Bailey praise from jazz critics. Paula Edelstein of All About Jazz commended the spiritual and soulful quality of his vocals, while Al Hunter Jr. of the Philadelphia Daily News saw it as a powerful showcase of Bailey's natural jazz sensibilities. Encouraged by the positive reception, Bailey returned in 2002 with Soul on Jazz, also released through Heads Up. The album continued his exploration of jazz, reaching number 45 on the Billboard Jazz Albums chart. Critics once again responded well. Christopher Loudon of Jazz Times and reviewers from the Associated Press both highlighted Bailey's fresh takes on jazz standards, applauding his ability to reinterpret classics with both reverence and innovation. After decades in the spotlight, Bailey had managed not just to adapt but to thrive, bringing the same depth, heart, and curiosity to jazz that he had brought to soul and R&B throughout his career. Philip Bailey's musical journey took an unexpected but powerful turn in 2018 when he quietly lent his voice, uncredited, to Stop Trying to Be God, one of the standout tracks on Travis Scott's critically acclaimed Astroworld album. The song, which also featured contributions from Stevie Wonder on harmonica, Kid Cudi, and James Blake, stood out for its haunting, genre-blending sound. Bailey's ethereal vocals brought a soulful depth that added another emotional layer to the track, demonstrating his ability to seamlessly blend into a modern hip-hop landscape without compromising the vocal purity he's known for. His contribution to such a contemporary and culturally influential project reaffirmed his relevance and adaptability in a constantly evolving music industry. The following year, Bailey returned to his jazz roots with renewed purpose. In 2019, he released Love Will Find a Way on Verve Records, his third jazz album and arguably one of his most impactful solo efforts. The album soared to the top of both the Billboard Top Jazz Albums and Contemporary Jazz Albums charts, a clear sign that Bailey's blend of soul, jazz, and social consciousness had struck a chord. Love Will Find a Way brought together a new generation of jazz and R&B artists, including Kamasi Washington, Robert Glasper, and Christian Scott Attunde Adjoa, creating a vibrant, cross-generational conversation through music. Critics embraced the album with enthusiasm. NPR's Ann Powers ranked it 5th on her list of the top 10 albums of 2019, praising Bailey's ability to marry traditional jazz stylings with contemporary sounds while infusing the music with themes of resilience and hope. Phil Freeman of Stereogum also gave the album a nod with an honorable mention on his list of the year's best jazz records, highlighting its musical richness and social relevance. In 2020, Bailey's contributions were formally recognized when he was named Soul Act of the Year at the Jazz FM Awards. It was a fitting tribute to a veteran artist who continues to create with purpose and passion. With Love Will Find a Way, Bailey didn't just prove that he could keep up with the times, he showed that he could still lead, crafting music that speaks to the soul, honors his roots, and reaches forward with a message of unity, spirit, and strength. Through his work on Astroworld and his continued exploration of jazz, Philip Bailey has shown just how deeply rooted and far-reaching his influence is in the music world. His openness to experimenting with different sounds and collaborating with artists from all corners of the industry reflects not only his versatility, but also his genuine passion for the craft. Whether he's delivering smooth jazz, soulful R&B, uplifting gospel, or lending his voice to a modern hip-hop track, Bailey continues to prove that his artistry is timeless. Decades into his career, his voice still resonates, powerful, distinctive, and just as relevant as ever. Gospel singing. Philip Bailey has long been a powerful presence in gospel music, seamlessly blending his spiritual roots with his success in R&B and pop. His gospel journey began in the late 70s with features on major projects like Andre Crouch's Grammy-winning I'll Be Thinking of You and Walter Hawkins' The Hawkins Family album, where his collaborations with gospel legends showed his natural ability to move between the sacred and the secular. A pivotal moment came in 1980 when Bailey joined Denise Williams, Billy Davis, and Marilyn McCoo for Jesus at the Roxy, a gospel concert held at the famed Roxy Theater in L.A. The event had a deep spiritual impact. Over 300 people reportedly gave their lives to Christ that night, and it marked a turning point for Bailey, inspiring him to pursue gospel music more seriously. Bailey released his first gospel album, The Wonders of His Love, in 1984. The project earned a Grammy nomination and strong chart success, proving his message and music resonated. He followed it with Triumph in 1986, which won a Grammy, and Family Affair in 1989, continuing his spiritual expression through music. He also supported church projects like the King Baptist Church Mass Choir's 1990 album, showing his commitment wasn't limited to solo work. Throughout his gospel career, Bailey has used his voice not just to entertain, but to uplift and inspire, bridging worlds and generations with a message of faith and hope. Whether singing a gospel hymn or an R&B classic, his sound carries a sense of purpose that continues to resonate with listeners around the world.